What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today I'm going to do a full face using cream products only, even on my eyes. Alright, so today is a little bit more of an in-depth tutorial because I like to be precise and really explain things the best that I can, so you have an easier time understanding at home how to do a certain technique yourself. So that is what we are in for today. I use all cream products, no powder products in sight for today's video. I am so excited to share this with you, and I explain more as I open the video with no makeup on. So let's go ahead and jump into that before I ramble any further. All right, so to get this look started off, I already have my brows outlined because, as you can see, I don't have a lot to work with. So that's always my first step. And I already have my primer on. This is a Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I've been using this almost 2 years, and I use it every time I do my makeup, and I still have this much left. I use a pump, and that is plenty. So just know if you get that product, it will definitely last you a long time. It's nice and hydrating. It provides a little bit of tackiness to the skin. It is just so good. And speaking of so good is the foundation that I've been using. I feel like I started using this in April. So it's almost been a year that I've used this foundation pretty consistently, and I really haven't strayed from it much. There's been maybe a handful of occasions where I've gone in with a more fuller coverage foundation. One of my goals for makeup in 2020 was to focus more on skin, and I feel like I finally, it may have taken me all year, but I feel like I finally got there. So this is the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. This is in the shade LC1, and what I like about this is that it has an expiration date on the bottom, so that's always helpful. But I think this is about the palest shade that you can get. Of course, brands always need to work on their shade range a little bit, but as you can see, I do have a lot of redness to cover up. I have some blemishes to cover up. I mean, this guy right here, cystic acne, it's going to be next to impossible to cover up, but I'll show you some tricks that I have. This is not a full coverage foundation by any means, which is quite different from me. If you've been watching my channel, I'm always getting full coverage because I feel like that's what we always see on YouTube, and it's like we want to cover up our imperfections, right? But this year I'm like, let's try to do a more natural skin and see how it goes. It took a lot for me to get there mentally because my skin is pretty rough on its own. Okay, so this foundation is described as being long wear, buildable, breathable, with lightweight, medium coverage with a satin finish. So you can definitely build this up. So what I like to do from a couple of the YouTube videos that I've been watching and studying, if you're interested in focusing more on skin, I think that Robert Welch is really great to watch. Wayne Goss is always good to watch. So they kind of been the main two, but what I'm going to do is apply the most product where I need it and then work from there, because I don't need to apply the same amount of product over here where I'm not having a lot of skin issues. All right, so I apply the majority of the product right on the apples of my cheeks, and then whatever is left is kind of where I'm going to work this around, where I have a couple of other spots on my skin. So this is another area I tend to focus on a lot. And then I'll also put a pretty decent amount of whatever's left on that zit. So I just take my time, I work in small sections, and this is the sponge that I'm using. This is from Beauty Junkies. I really have been liking their stuff. They're pretty affordable, so if you guys are interested, there's a link down below along with a discount code. I've really been enjoying this bottom part for foundation, and then this more tipped point for other products that we're going to be using in the video. So I just kind of let it sit for a couple of seconds, and what I'm going to do, because before I would, immediately start pouncing all over my face, but very light taps. I'm going to lightly start tapping this, and that's going to keep the concentration of the product there. And that, my friends, is how we cover redness without using a full coverage foundation. So now what I'm going to do is start to blend out the edges. And I'm just going to move around to the rest of my face kind of quickly, just because I don't need to concentrate on covering so much up. And not using as much product is allowing my skin to show through. So here I can still see a couple of the little spots that I had, but I really don't mind it because I've been enjoying my skin actually looking like skin. It's the same thing for this acne spot. I'm not really gonna mess with it too much because again, you wanna have the most concentrated product on the actual peak of redness and then just lightly go around the edges so you're not taking away any of the coverage. So that is what my face looks like with just one little dip into the foundation. And then also with whatever is left over, I will start to build up the side of my nose. But I will be going back into adding more product on that. But I believe I picked this tip up from Robert Welsh. It was actually part of his concealer trick, and I was like, let me apply that to the redness on my face and see how it works. And it turns out it works pretty freaking great. Now, I will say, for the last couple of years, I have been watching Sam, and I've been watching Christy, and I have been watching how they don't set their foundation. And trust me, I have a really dry skin. So do I really need to be applying more powder on top of my dry skin? No, absolutely not. But I just could not stand the feeling of not setting my face. And I think a lot of that had to do with the heavier foundations, the heavier full coverage foundations that I was using. It wasn't just necessary, and I just felt like I always had to set it because I was just using so much product. But with this, I just have the heavy concentrated areas on my cheeks, and then I really don't have a lot of product anywhere else. And before, it took me a while to even not set this because I just can't stand the feeling of like the tackiness if a foundation doesn't fully set. And I finally have gotten used to it, and I'm happy to say that I don't set this with powder. I've been enjoying the more natural shine that comes with a couple hours of wear of this satin foundation, and it's so pretty. I also love how good of a match this is because there's nothing I hate more than putting foundation on my neck. And then again, it's the same technique on the forehead. I'm going to take my time on just slowly pouncing this and just kind of letting it blend itself out before I go to blend the edges. It's just so easy to work with this foundation and this technique. There are kids outside screaming. I have my windows open because it's a nice day, so I hope you're not bothered by that. So another trick that I picked up, I forget who I learned this from. I want to say it was also Robert Welsh, talking about making concealer last under your eyes and to prevent creasing. I'm like 90% sure it was Robert Welsh, but he said to take an eye primer that's clear, that's like a really good eye primer that's not the concealer consistency like the ABH one. So now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm certain it was Robert Welsh that was talking about this. So I picked up a little mini sample of the primer potion by Urban Decay. I just used this so much like 10 years ago. It was like the eye primer, but I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it, so I got the smaller size. So what I do is I scrape most of the primer off, and I'm just going to lightly tap whatever is left under my eyes. And then with my fingers, I'm going to gently tap that into my skin. And the idea is that the primer is going to sink into your lines so the concealer doesn't. So it's going to help with that, and then it'll also help with the longevity of your concealer. And because it's sinking into the lines, you really shouldn't need to set the under eye with powder. With my CoverGirl, what is this one called? CoverGirl True Blend Concealer, I wasn't needing to set it, but I did just pick up the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating Camo Concealer, so I'm not super used to that one yet, so we'll see where we get with it today. So this is in the shade Fair Rose, and again, concealer, we're not doing a big mess under the eyes with a giant triangle, which I can't believe I used to do all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and concentrate right there, and then the new thing has been to put a little bit up here to like help lift the angles of your face. Because it's hydrating, I'm gonna let it sit for a second, so I'm gonna focus on blending this out first because I'm not super concerned about shadows on this corner of my eye. So with the smaller Real Techniques sponge, I'm just lightly tapping it because that is where I want the most concealer to be concentrated. And then now I can work on blending out the edges and kind of dragging this to the center of my under eye. So again, light taps right where I place this. And then I'm also going to kind of bring it up into the crevice there to brighten that area. And then now I'm going to blend the rest of the under eye and definitely shut my window. Well, hopefully you still can't hear that because apparently my neighbors have decided to run their moped up and down the street and just leave it idling. So anyways, not putting as much product near your lash line is going to help prevent it from falling into the lines under your eyes. So that's why whatever is left over is what you're going to drag into that area. So now it's just a little bit brighter without looking too much. Basically, I'm going to leave my under eyes as is, do the rest of my face, reassess if I think it needs powder, because then I can just re-blend out the creases and set with a light amount of powder. So now I'm moving on to my cream product, which I don't really want to show because there's dog hair in some of them. If you're a pet owner, you know. But this is an ABH cream product. I picked this up, the cream contour. I picked it up at a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's like last year. So I just kind of take a combination of the shades that are for fair skin tone. And this is a Real Techniques 301 brush. And I just really like this a lot for the angles. And I just stipple, so I'm not like dragging it around, so I don't want to like move the foundation. So I'm just stippling this into place. I'm not completely blending it out with this brush, but I'm just getting an idea of where I want my contour to be. So I go right on the edge of where my cheekbone is because that's going to help lift it. If you're putting your contour down here, it's going to lower your face and not give you the effect that you're going for. So right where the start of my ear is about where my cheekbone is. So I concentrate most product there and then stipple upwards. And then I do the same thing around the tip of my forehead, under my chin, and then I'll show you which brush I use for my nose. Before this sets down into place, I'm just gonna take my same sponge that I use my foundation with to quickly pat it out. And what I like about the ABH cream product is that it blends out really effortlessly and really easily. Just a couple of pounces and you're good to go because we kind of blended it with the brush. So for my nose contour, I use this pixelated brush by Real Techniques. I'm someone that also has issues with products lifting up off my nose. So again, I'm kind of just like dotting it along and then I'm gonna carefully blend it. If my skin is really dry, I can't really contour even with cream products. And then whatever is left, I just throw under there. So I'm gonna take the other side of my concealer to blend this out. Another tip that I have, if you're using sponges, I clean mine every time before I use it because I have to wet the sponge anyway, so I might as well just clean it really fast. So if you find that you're breaking out a lot because you start using sponges, it could be because you are not cleaning them enough. After all, these are liquid and cream products. You don't want your sponges harvesting bacteria. So that looks pretty good. Sometimes I will go over the center just to make sure I didn't get too much contour there. All right, so the next two steps have been my favorite lately because like they're really so new to me and I haven't really ever played around with it before. So I'm gonna use a cream brush, a cream blush and a liquid highlight, and these are from Rare Beauty. I did do a review on the foundation and concealer along with these two products, so if you're interested in it, it'll be listed up above, and you can also check out my channel. So my blush hack is going to be because I have some swatches on here. So what I like to do is you can apply it directly to your cheek, but it dries and sets really quickly, so I don't like doing that method. This is what I have found that works best for me. I take a little bit of the product, scrape it off just a little bit because it can be a little much. This is the blush in the shade Bliss, so it's their matte blush. So what I actually do is just put the color on the back of my hand, and here, this is Real Techniques blush brush. I'm actually using a brush for what it's for, and I just pick some up, and then again, I'm aiming high, so a little bit higher than where I put the contour, is where I'm gonna start packing the blush on. This way you're in more control. It's lightly diffusing the blush as you're applying it, and you can build it up. Because when you apply it right on your cheeks, you can, I think we've seen a lot of reviews where people are like, oh no, because they put too much on. So this way, you're in a little bit more control. And this product just blends out so beautifully. It's not too much. It just really does look nice and natural on the skin. So I am concentrating most of the blush up here and not so much on my cheekbone, because what I learned from Robert Walsh, if you have more of a heart-shaped face, you'll want to leave this spot a little bit blank. So that is what I do. If this is looking a little bit too much, I'll show you how to fix that in just a minute. I just want to even out the other side. And if you're wanting to learn how to contour and like apply blush and highlight for your face shape, Robert Welsh does a lot of reviews of other beauty influencers and kind of says like, hey, you know, I like this technique, I don't like this technique, this would work better for your face shape. So find a review he did of someone with your same face shape and you'll learn a lot. I actually have a video that I need to edit of me following along with a Robert Welsh tutorial, so I'm excited to put that out for you guys. Like all day they're quiet, and then I sit down to film and it's like they know. This happens every time. And now there's a bunch of smoke in the street. So whatever is left over, I'm just gonna hit the center of my nose. Just for a little color, right? Because I think we decided in 2020 blush on the nose is like a cute moment. And then anything else I'll just kind of put up on the temples of my forehead. And now if you feel like your blush is a little bit too much, you just go back in with your blender that still has some foundation on it. And you can kind of pounce right on top of it to mute it out. So you can see how this looks a lot more diffused, a lot more blended versus over here. And the only time I will really use powder on my face is if I get a little too messy with the blush and it's a little bit too low than what I want it, then I will go in with powder and bake under there. So I'll just quickly put some powder and dust it away to clean it up. I don't think I need it in this video, but I will just demonstrate it really quickly so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, so for shits and giggles, I'm just gonna show you how I clean this up. I take any kind of setting powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me. This is a Morphe M164 brush just because it has that flat edge. If you have the Ecos Tools sponge, I like that because it has a nice flat edge on the sponge and it just works nicely. So what I'm gonna do is pick some powder up and again, decide where I want that contour line to kind of be. So you can see how there's just a little bit of contour, a little bit of blush under this line. So then what I'm going to do is just pick up some powder, drag it down. You could also go in with more foundation if you wanted to as well, but I just find powder is just easier and I don't want to put more foundation and just have it be thicker on this part of my face. So I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute while I do the highlight and then I will dust it away. So this is the Enlighten Highlight by Rare Beauty. And another tip that I picked up from Robert Welsh is finding out the right points to highlight. So what I like to do is in the monitor, I can kind of see where my skin is naturally glistening, aka where the light is reflecting off of it. And this is really difficult to do if you're using a matte full coverage foundation and if you're setting it with powder. So this has been nice. So right here is where I'm going to highlight. And now I go in with this end of the sponge. And again, I want the highlight really concentrated there, so that's where I'm focusing most of the product, pouncing it on. And then I can focus on kind of blurring it out and blending it out, just like that, so it's more natural looking. And if you don't want to use a brush to blend out the cream blush, I also like using this tapered end. That's the word I've been searching for this whole video, the tapered end, to blend out the blush. If you are using a more matte foundation, you can also bring some of this highlight above your brows if you want as well. But because this is a nice dewy and satin foundation, I don't need any extra highlighting on my forehead. And what I like to do, since I do have a little bit of a heart-shaped face, is take just a little bit right on the cheekbones, because it just like brings more attention to the center of my face. And lastly, I take a little bit right down the center of my nose. And again, because this is a satiny foundation, I don't need any on the tip of my nose. It's already glistening without me putting more highlight there. And it's already looking like I highlighted the end of my nose just because I'm using studio lighting. But after a couple of hours in natural lighting, it looks like that anyway. And then whatever is left, I just kind of put where my Cupid's bow is. So that is it for the base. I'm going to put this powder away. I would say this is maybe the second time I've used powder with this all cream look. So it's not something I do all the time. And then if you don't want to have like a harsh edge, again, just go back with the sponge and it will diffuse it. So we went from this to this. I'm actually gonna fill my brows in off camera, hope the noise quiets down, and then we can move on to eyes. I already did use this primer on my eyes as well, so we will be nice and primed and ready to go. Okay, they drove off, so let's hope they're gone for a little bit. So, what I'm going to do, what am I doing? So I'm gonna go over the cream products on my eyes that I'm gonna use. A lot of these are nude stick products because I was watching a Get Ready With Me with Hilary Duff, and I am like, I grew up with Hilary Duff. So I'm very upset that they're not doing the Lizzie McGuire reboot. But anyways, I was like, I want to be like Hilary Duff and have my makeup look flawless like hers. She does. She's another one that does like all cream products, and I don't think she really sets her face. So I do have my NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk that I put on my waterline, and I have these 3 nude stick pencils. But first, I want to go into my brow highlight. This is a concealer pencil by Beauty Junkies. So over here is like the concealer side. This is the highlighty side, so I will be applying that in just a minute. And then I also have these nude sticks. These Nude Sticks Magnetic Luminous Eye Color Cream Sticks. So this is in the shade Burnish, which Sam raved about. So this is what it looks like. This is what the highlight from the Beauty's Junkie concealer pen looks like. It is so beautiful and subtle. This is what Burnish looks like. And then another shade, I think this is probably the shade that Hillary was using. This is in the shade Twilight. So it's definitely more of a cool toned, pretty taupe moment. If you wanted to, you could also take some of that cream bronzer and throw it up in your crease if you want to. I'm not going to today. I'm feeling more of a burnish moment all over the lid, which was the lighter one. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of smudge this around. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can use your finger to blend out, but what I really love to use is, oh my God, I feel like I wish this was sponsored by Real Techniques. That would be awesome. But this is the base shadow brush. It is amazing for cream product. And I'm just going to work on blending this out. I don't think I have any other brush in my collection that would blend this out as nicely as this brush would. The only issue I've ever had with these is that sometimes they tend to crease after a long period of wear, but I wasn't really putting a base down, so I'm interested to see how it wears on top of this Urban Decay base. So this is more of a diffused moment, again, where I'm putting most of the color on my lid and just kind of diffusing it up into the crease. And to add a little bit of dimension, I'm gonna go in with Twilight near my lash line. I'm gonna apply that kind of thickly so it still shows up when I apply a thin thing of liner. And then I'm just gonna smudge out those edges. I really like these nude stick eye pencils. They're really easy to work with. They blend out, it's effortless. I definitely spend less time doing this than I would a look with eyeshadows. And then I'm also gonna carry this onto the lower lash line and blend it out too. All right, I am back for a few finishing touches. I already went ahead and put my lip color on off camera. I just used the nude stick in the shade Whisper, so it's this blushy nude color. Gorgeous. It was another recommendation of Sam, so I will have Sam and Christy linked down below if you are somehow not familiar with them. I feel like they're pretty big names in the beauty community. But anyways, I'm gonna finish off with this Beauty Junkies concealer pencil by adding a little highlight to my inner corner. I already dabbed some in the arch of my brow. You can see it more on this brow because the light is catching it better. But it is just so beautiful. And I went and zhuzhed up my hair. So far, I don't have any creasing with the cream shadow, so that is good. It's always never fun when a product starts to kind of immediately crease. So I will see how it wears throughout the day. I think like a hack to stop it from creasing, or like if you see that it's starting to crease, you can just kind of like pat along your crease. But if you have any tips to prevent cream shadow from creasing, let me know in the comments down below. So this is a full face using cream products. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is this something that you would do? Do you do this already? And an update on my under eyes before I forget. I've had so much caffeine today, so I apologize for being all over in the video as I normally am. But I didn't really have any creasing in my under eyes, so I didn't feel the need to set it with powder. Like I said, if I wasn't showing you the example of how to clean up if you accidentally go too far down low with cream contour or cream blush, I wouldn't have used the powder under here. All that there's really left to do is to set with a setting spray if you wish to. This is an all-nighter by Urban Decay. This will definitely have more staying powder. And if you feel like you are on the dry side and you want something like a little bit of a dewier finish, I highly recommend the Morphe Setting Mist. It gives a nice dew. Normally I do a combination of both if I really want it to be long lasting, but still have my skin look nice and fresh. So let me know in the comments down below, what is something, like if there was a makeup goal that you had in the last year that you achieved, or what is something that you want to work on, or if there's something you would like to see from me that I could help you with, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me. I know this was like another long one because I feel like I like to be pretty precise and in-depth when I explain techniques to you guys, so hopefully you don't mind. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me in the comments down below, or you can hit me up on Instagram. I'm MakeupByMegB on all my social media. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me again. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.